Imagine you slowly start to forget things that were important to you, such as your family, friends, and your loved ones. You also start to be confused by things that did confuse you before. You find yourself having difficulty communicating. This is not what anyone wants for themselves or for their loved ones. Unfortunately, this is a reality for millions of Americans living with Alzheimer's. In fact, Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States overall, and the 5th leading cause of death for those aged 65 and older. My grandma had Alzheimer's, so I've witnessed firsthand just how horrible and ruthless this disease can be. I've also seen how difficult it can be, not only for the person who has Alzheimer's, but also for their loved ones. With that said, over the course of this speech, I'll demonstrate the need for more funding from the U.S. federal government for Alzheimer's research by discussing 3 points: the rapid increase in Alzheimer's cases, what a future without Alzheimer's would look like, and a call to action. First, the discussion of the prevalence of Alzheimer's in the United States today. According to the National Institute of Health, as many as 5 million Americans aged 65 and older may have the disease. And as people start to live longer, that number is just going to increase rapidly. According to the Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's care costs about $236 billion a year, and the government spends less than 1% of that funding on research. In other words, there is such a major discrepancy between the number of people living with Alzheimer's and the funding that goes into finding a cure for the disease. There is such a discrepancy between the two. Jessica Good, writer of for Alzheimer's.net and a former employee at Delaware Valley Alzheimer's Association, states biomedical scientists doing early-stage drug development for Alzheimer's raise concerns that research funding is disproportionately low and risks putting labs developing treatments for the neurological disease in a funding limbo. The fact that scientists who have dedicated their lives to finding a cure for this disease do not have the funding they need proves that funding for Alzheimer's is not sufficient enough and must be improved upon. The projected increase in Alzheimer's and dementia cases over the next 30 years will prove overwhelming for a healthcare system that is ill-equipped to manage treatment, care, and costs. In other words, if we continue as we do now, it is just going to become more and more difficult until it's almost impossible to cure Alzheimer's. No one survives Alzheimer's. As chairman and co-founder of the USA Against Alzheimer's Network, George Vandenberg states increased research funding can serve as a rallying point for advocates, researchers, industry, and our nation in the fight against Alzheimer's. That makes the present time so crucial to get serious about Alzheimer's research. We have discussed the need for more funding for Alzheimer's research. Now we will discuss what a world without Alzheimer's would look like. Now I want you to imagine a world where Alzheimer's is not existent. No one is suffering. No one is dying from Alzheimer's. There is no need for spending on the prevention, care, treatment, and or research of Alzheimer's. People live longer, enjoy life with their loved ones. There is no major forgetfulness, confusion, or difficulty communicating to interfere with their daily lives. This is a future that all who know someone with Alzheimer's want. But how can this happen? Everyone working together is a start. As Vandenberg says, when we are serious about stopping this disease for future generations, the legislative and executive branches, industry, and scientists must continue to work together to provide the innovation and the resources needed to meet that goal. To conclude, we have discussed the prevalence of Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's crisis, and a world without Alzheimer's. And with all this, you may be wondering, yes, this is a problem, but what does it have to do with me? I am only one person. What can I do? You can do a lot. That brings me to my final point. If you remember one thing from this speech, make it this. Advocate for those who cannot. Be the voices of those who suffer from Alzheimer's. For those of you who know someone affected by the disease, share your story. Through this advocacy and story sharing, We can work together to help raise awareness of this horrible disease and make it a thing of the past. Thank you.